Hi guys, this is Ola from CardBond. In this video, we're going to proceed with our Xbox Series X controller pad, and our assignment is going to be to create our buttons located in these spaces and also the Xbox logo located here. It's going to be really simple, and we're going to be using tools that are quite easy to understand, which are to offset faces, to cut faces, cut bodies, and yeah, just that. Alright, so let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we go over to this spot and make all of these bodies or components invisible. Our bodies are visible, and so we just go back to this shape. Hopefully you still have this in your feature tree and haven't deleted it yet. However, if you don't have it, it's kind of going to be a different procedure for you. So I suppose that you still have this, and hopefully you do. To go on, we go over to surface, and we're going to be creating offset of this surface here. Make sure that chain selection is unselected or deactivated, and then I will select on this top face. In your case, if peradventure you do not have this surface anymore and you've deleted it, what you're gonna have to do is go to top face and click on the top face as your own reference face. But in this case we're doing this, and our first distance is going to be by 0.25 millimeters. That's going in the topward direction, and I would say okay. I'll make that invisible for now and repeat the same process. Offset. I would select again on this and make it go in the opposite direction, which is minus 1.5. Alright, so with that we say okay, and I'll make this entire stuff invisible. So what we have here now is these two surfaces. Alright, so like I said, in case you do not have this and you have to use the top face, then you're going to come across a challenge that you have a circle here which needs to be closed up. And in that case, what you're going to have to do, I'm just going to show it real quick, is to create your offset. So let's assume we're creating the offset at this distance. Alright, and I'll make this invisible. So how you're going to fix that, you do not have to bother with the rest of the openings that we have. So you go over to create and patch. So with the patch tool, we just select on the boundary edges and you say okay. So that solves the problem. However, this is not our process, and when you're done with this, you can also just stitch it together, one and the second face too. Alright, so with that, okay, and then you pretty much have what we need to proceed. You do not need to bother about the rest of the parts. All you need is just this part here. However, we are not going to be using this, so I'm going to get rid of all these atrocities. Alright, so we have these two here, and then the next thing for us to do, we go over to our sketches, make it visible, and then we look for the top sketch where we created all of these features. Very easy. I go over to solid and click on extrude, and what I'm going to be extruding is this body here. I click on that and I choose my start plane to be object, which is this object, and choose my end type to be to object again, which is this object. And I'll choose this and say new body, fine, and okay. Alright, so we notice that there's an extrusion located in between the both of them, and then it uses those two surfaces as the extreme extents, which is what we want to have. So I can make this invisible and we have this. Our next procedure is easily going to be to create our fillet. So we understand that this is not supposed to be sharp. I mean, it defeats the purpose of ergonomy when it comes to product design. So it has to be something that is quite safe for users to use. So sharp edges like this are not allowed. Hence, we create a fillet, and then we don't make it a lot. So I guess we just make it 0.3 millimeters and say okay. Alright, so if we make the top face visible now, we notice that this is what we have. Okay, and it's flushing with the bottom face here. I'll make it invisible again because I really don't need it. Now our next thing to do will be to create a new sketch. So using the sketch, and on the top plane, we have it this way. I move and position properly. I go back to sketches, okay, not sketches, to canvas, and I make the top canvas visible. So what we're going to do right now is just to trace out the shape of the Xbox logo. And to do that, we're going to make use of our spline tool. And for this, we use the control point spline. I select my first point. Take note that it doesn't have to be accurate. I mean, select my first point and my second. Click on the check mark. Click on enter and drag this point here. I guess I'll make this canvas invisible, and let's see, also the body, so it doesn't confuse me. So I click on this and I'm able to drag to position it properly to the shape that I desire. So once you've gotten your desired shape, the next thing is to repeat the same process. Create spline, control point spline. I select my first point, my second, and my third. I'm using the control point spline because I kind of think it's easier to control, definitely. And I'll say enter again. In other cases, if you use the other spline, which is the fit point spline, it's kind of difficult. Well, probably not for everybody, I don't know. But for me, I prefer this control point spline. So now that we have done this and we're satisfied with the way our logo looks, or the first part of the X shape, we're going to just easily create construction line for the purpose of mirroring. I'll draw this way. And now we're going to go over to modify and choose split body. The body to split is easily this body, and our splitting tool is going to be the sketches that we have created. However, for some reason which I do not know, we cannot select all of the sketches at the same time. So I suppose we can only select sketches that do not cross each other. So I'll select on first splitting tool, select on this and this. So we're not able to select this because I guess it crossed these sketches. And we use the extend splitting tool so that it cuts it completely, and we say okay. Now that we have this, we repeat the same process, modify and split body. Take note that we have 3 bodies now, so we have to select every one of them. And then we say our sketches, make it visible again. Oh, not you. You. And then we choose these sketches now. Alright. Okay. Now with this, we have our Xbox logo done, and all we need to do is to combine some of these bodies together. Alright, so we go over to combine. and our target body is going to be the center body, and our two bodies are going to be the other bodies created. So we choose new component and OK. Alright, so we still have the bodies separated, and it seems, yeah. So we just remove the one at the center. Okay. Alright, so this is done, and then our next step is going to be to create the other buttons 1, 2, 3. Alright, so to do this, I would unselect this and reduce this, make the canvas visible, I guess, then turn up the sketch. So we check up the new sketch here, and we know that we have the dimensions for the bodies here. We're going to edit sketch, and we just create some offset, which are really simple things. So the first offset we create is going to be for this, and we make it 0.5 millimeters outward direction. Then we create an offset again, coming inwards with the minus 0.1 millimeters. Alright, so that's okay. And then I repeat the same process for the other sketches. And the reason I'm doing this is we know that the button is going to be in a hole that is kind of larger. So the 0.5 offset is used for stability for the hole, and then the minus 0.1 is like a tolerance. So we do it again for the slots. I hope my explanation makes sense. And we come inwards also at minus 0.1 millimeters. Alright. So with all this done, our next step is just to extrude our sketches. However, I'm going to be extruding these individually. The buttons individually, so that they are not like joined together to be a single body. Peradventure, it might take a while for yours to load, because it has to reload all of the features we created previously. So it's kind of time consuming, but no problem. Our next thing to do is to create our extrusions. And then, since I said I'll be doing this one by one, so I'll select all of this and extrude it upwards by 3 millimeters. Oh, no. The distance should be 1 millimeter. And yeah, so with the 1 millimeters, we repeat the extrusion with the sketch still visible, and then this time we extrude the inner sketch, and we start with the plane object and select on the top face of the initial extrusion, and then this time around we extrude it by 3 millimeters. Yeah, that's how it should be. Okay. With this, I would create another extrusion. So this time around, we'll go over to the slot. I'll repeat the same process, extrude the entire sketch first. I'm only doing this so that it doesn't create them as a single body, and we don't have to start separating them later. So I guess this is just my own cheat way of doing this. Alright, so profile object again, and then the inner slot top face and 3 millimeters upwards. And we say join. And then lastly, this face here, extrude 1, 2, and 3 by 1 millimeter. And then again, the innermost circle, and that's 3 millimeters. All right. So with these three, we notice that underbodies, we have them separated, right? So that's what I wanted. And I can make the sketch invisible now. So we have few things on our screen. And then we create fillets, obviously, for all of these different bodies. So I use until it looks good to my eyes. So I think 0.75 is okay. Alright, that's our rounded figure. The next thing for us to do is just to create the inscription on our buttons. It's going to be simple to do. And obviously, because we've learned a few things already. So I go to sketch, and I guess I should create it on the previous sketch created. So we don't have too many features. So I'll just go back to this under sketches, and we actually want the sketch for the X button. So this and edit sketch. I'll just rename it to inscription, so that's easy to identify later. And yeah, so edit sketch. Alright. So now that we are done with this, our next thing to do is to repeat the kind of process that we did here. So we have our bodies visible. Let's see where they are. Alright, so what we're going to do is modify and split face. This time around, I'm not splitting the entire body, just the face. So I'll choose my split into one. Let's see. Alright, so I'll say okay. And I'll repeat the same process. Split face 1 and split into, I use these tools here. It's kind of weird how I cannot select them both at the same time. But at least we understand the process. So this is this, and we have created a split on this face. So what we have now is face here and all of that. So we repeat the process for the other buttons, which should be split face, this, split 2. So if you're wondering how I'm able to go quickly back into the split face, it's just by right clicking on your mouse button, holding onto the button, and then drag your mouse upwards. I know some of these shortcuts, but I don't know. I have a bad habit of always going back here to look for it. Alright, so we have all of this. I suppose this is okay where it is. It looks a little bit off, so I'm going to drag that sketch downwards a little bit. So this is inscription. I'll go to edit sketch and just select on all of this by clicking and dragging, and I would say move. So I'll just pull it downwards a bit this way and say okay, finish sketch. Alright, so now that's fine. Alright guys, I can make this invisible, and then this is what we have. What you're going to do next is going to be to make these bodies components. So create components from bodies so that we can bring them in and use as what's it called, and use for the, I should call it assembly process. It's not really an assembly, but let's just call it that. So all of these bodies, 1, 2, 3, 4, I would create component from bodies and come down here to see what they are. This and this, I'll bring them together. I mean, they should be together. New component, Xbox logo, from bodies, external, should I make it external, internal, parent is going to be this. Alright, so somehow I think we've jumped the gun here and we've kind of overlooked the process. Because here now we have the components for the logo separated, which is not ideal. So what I'll try to do is just to see how I can rectify that target body. So I'll make the target body, let's say this. Where is it? There are components, not bodies. Target body, I'll make it this one. And then the two bodies, I'll make it one. It's kind of strange why we're doing this way. 1, 2 under bodies, this, and lastly, not origin, bodies, and this. So I'll make them a new component, keep the tools, no. Okay. So this is very unidealistic. This should definitely not be the way this is done. So let's see, what component is this? Component for component. So all of these components now can all be removed. I would say remove. And we still have that. Lastly, we have this component here and this. So what I want to do is to kind of bring them together. 1, and let's see. So this has different bodies within, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see, modify, press put this. Very weird. It's undoable. However, you know what? We're just gonna leave it that way. And I know why I'm saying that. Since we have already created it to be positioned here, so we don't really need to separate that anymore. So I'll just leave that positioned. I'll rename this to be Xbox logo on and Xbox logo do. It's a weird stuff, but we can use this mistake definitely. So I don't know what to call this now. I'll just say button 1. I'm not sure. I'll call this button 2. It's been a long time since I played games, so I don't really know what these buttons are anymore. Button 3. Alright, now, so with all of this, which is good for us, we are going to save this separately. So I would say export as button 1 under these reference files, under buttons, and let's see, export. Save it to project in the cloud and not to my computer. Export. I'll do the same for the rest of them. Export. Save to project in the cloud, not my computer. Export. Export. So for all of that, we're not going to export this. We just leave these buttons here. So we could remove these buttons. And this is what we have. Alright guys, so this is good. And in the next video, we are going to be bringing all the buttons at once and positioning them properly within this workspace. So we're going to place them all in their appropriate positions. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this so far, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Hi there, if you liked this video, you can give it a thumbs up by clicking on the like button, and if you are yet to subscribe, it takes you just about 3 seconds to click on the button and select the notification bell so you get updates when new uploads are made. Alright, that's all for now. See you in the next video.